Oh, my tungsten.
If you are not using pulse, then you're leaving control on the table. And don't worry, I know these knobs appear a little scary, but we've got you covered. You see that? 2 different welds with different pulse settings, but they'll make your life a lot easier with less warp. This is the Eastwood TIG 220 AC DC. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of knobs on this. Let's kind of whittle it down. On the far left here, there's 2 knobs for AC function. That's for aluminum welding, and we're not going to worry about that today. In the center lies your regular DC welding function, so your amperage and other settings to just do base steel welding. But we're going to focus on the far right here. These 3 knobs are the key to pulse on this welder, as well as a couple buttons like down here. We can change our pulse from low to high, and we'll go over that in a little bit. So first, we're going to set up for a low frequency pulse. A low frequency pulse or a slow pulse is great for beginners because not only does it help mitigate your warp, it'll also set a nice rhythm for how quickly to weld. And you get to stack some times too. We're going to begin with thin sheet metal. This is steel, and we're going to use a DC setting of 55 amps. Now I'm going to set the pulse function to low, which will give me a range of about 0.5 hertz up through 20 hertz on this machine. First knob I'm going to worry about is the pulse hertz. So I'm going to set the hertz all the way down to 0.5. That means I'm going to get 1 pulse every 2 seconds. These 2 lower knobs are the peak time and the base current. The peak time is how long you're going to beat your peak amperage, which I have already set to 55. I like to start with 40%. And then moving down to the base amperage, I also like to keep that at 40%. I feel like 40% is a good spot to start at, and then you can make adjustments past there as you need. I've cut these 2 pieces of thin sheet metal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to butt them together. We're going to throw some tacks to lock them down, then we're going to weld them. The reason I'm tacking the metal down right now is because metal likes to expand when you heat it up. So if I go through and stitch it down, that'll lock it in when I run my bead with the pulse. You'll also see that I hammered these tacks back down. It's important to think of metal as more of like a really tough clay instead of like a really solid object. It's not so much brittle as it is ductile. When you weld, your heat expands, and as it cools, it contracts, it shrinks. So it's important to planish these tacks back out to get the panel to relax and lay flat on the table. So as I strike my arc here, you're going to see it pulse on and off, nice and slow. And the reason I say this is a little bit more beginner friendly is because what's going to happen is when the pulse goes to the peak, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ram my filler rod in just a little bit, and then as it drops down, it's going to cool that puddle. And as it cools the puddle, I'm going to bring the torch to the edge of the puddle to the front edge. So that's going to help me identify my travel speed. That'll help me identify each dime as I'm welding. Because when you're welding sheet metal, consistency is very important. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to have a very consistent shrink afterwards from that weld to then planish. What's nice also about the slow pulse is I can really watch my puddle and see when it's going to begin dropping through, which will give me a good indication of the penetration I have. And also, when I've gone a little too far, it might blow through. If I were to weld this with no pulse, I would have to use a lot less amperage, have to move a little bit quicker, and it also would be a lot less consistent because the faster you weld, it's very hard to keep it very consistent. Bring it up to the edge here. Oh, see, I blew through the end. You'll have that on these bigger jobs. So you'll notice first off that this panel is no longer flat. Secondly, you'll notice that my dimes are pretty good. I'd say that I might have had my heat a little bit too high. They could have had a little bit more build upwards because I had a higher heat. I had fairly good, if not incredible, penetration on the rear to the point that, like I said, I blew through on the end, which is not ideal. Earlier when I was talking about the knob settings and for like the base amperage, what I also could have done was drop that base amperage a little bit lower, maybe like 30%, drop the peak down to like 50 instead of 55. I think it would have been golden. That's why we do practice pieces on the bench right here before we weld on our projects. So when we make mistakes, it's not on the car. Now we're gonna step up to a thicker material. This is gonna be like a 90-degree butt joint, and I'm gonna weld it with the slower low pulse, which is gonna be a 0.5 hertz again. We're gonna do 40% and 40%, but this time I'm gonna ramp the amperage up to about 120, and we should get pretty good penetration. I'm also gonna step up from my 045 filler rod to a 1/16 inch filler rod. So just like before, I'm gonna travel with the pulse here, go to the front of the puddle each time. What you can do on like heavier stuff like this, is you can actually just lay your filler rod there. Don't have to worry so much about dipping it. Peak, move, peak. If you were working with stainless, using pulse is your friend because stainless is often thin, but also stainless is prone to sugaring and becoming compromised if you get a little too hot. So pulse will help mitigate that heat. This is mild steel, so I'm not super worried about that, but something to keep in mind. Look at that. As far as I'm concerned, this side looks really good. I kept my bead within the 2 peaks of the panels. Let's flip it over and see what the other side looks like. Nope, looks like I needed just a little bit more heat to make that in one pass. If this was a bracket for a car that I was building, I would just weld both sides anyway, because it being such a thick material, I don't know if I'd trust a single pass anyway. That cap looks great. So now that we've covered low frequency pulse, let's tackle high. High frequency pulse is very similar but different in the sense that it almost sounds like you're doing aluminum welding. Now you get that buzz from aluminum welding. It's the same concept as that. It just buzzes really, really fast. Unlike the previous slow pulse, it's significantly quicker. I like to use above 90 hertz, which means that I get above 90 pulses per second, which is where that buzz comes from. What I'm gonna do now, we're gonna tackle some thin sheet metal with high frequency pulse, which is my favorite way to weld thin sheet metal. High frequency pulse can be a little bit more challenging because unlike the low frequency pulse, you don't get that bop, bop, bop for travel, to know when to dip your filler rod. You kind of have to go by feel and by experience. What we're gonna do is we're gonna set this up, we're gonna set the machine up, and I'm gonna attack these panels like I did before, hammer it flat, and then we're gonna blast it with high frequency pulse so I can show you the true benefits of that feature. First thing I'm gonna do is drop the amperage down to about 65. I'm gonna need a little bit more amperage for the high frequency pulse because the way it pulses, you don't stay in place super long. So I'm gonna need a little bit more amperage. Then I'm coming over to my pulse settings. I'm gonna switch it to high pulse, which will get me up to 200 hertz. And then lastly, I'm gonna change our hertz knob. I'm gonna go up to about 100. So immediately right off the bat, before I even hammered these tacks, you'll notice there's a little bit of warp, but it's way less than the previous way with the low frequency pulse. The reason for that is because a high frequency pulse gives you a much tighter arc cone, which gives you better penetration and it's not as wide as opposed to the low frequency pulse, which gives you a really wide puddle, which is not particularly as ideal for super thin sheet metal. Strike my arc. Wait a second for the puddle, and we're just gonna fly through. Another really nice feature of high frequency pulse when you have a really crisp butt edge to weld, that you don't always even need to use filler for thin sheet metal. In fact, it really likes doing that, mainly because you're not staying in one place too long for it to burn through. The benefit to that is less filler rod means less material, which means less metal to warp when it expands and contracts, and an easier planish for your weld. You don't have the pulse to pace your movement. You have to kind of keep your movement consistent on your own. High frequency is also great for the end of panels, so I don't blow through. Like that. Beautiful. A lot better than the last one. This is the panel I did the high frequency pulse with, and you'll notice that the heat affected zone, which is this blue haze, is much smaller than it is with the low pulse. Also, you'll notice that my heat affected zone got a little bit wider towards the end because I slowed down. That was mainly because I was realizing that my penetration probably wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and also because this panel was getting heat soaked. And as it got heat soaked, the temperature began to raise in the panel, and that's the result right there. The other thing that I'm fighting right now is because I'm welding on a very large cold table. I'm using more amperage than I would on the actual car. A little pro tip is when you're doing your little coupons, it's a good idea to kind of hover them in the air so it's not, your table's not acting like a heat sink. So just like before, I'm gonna run with the same settings. I'm just gonna ramp the amperage up to about 130 this time, so 120. We're gonna do the heavy metal. I love that buzz. So unlike the slow pulse, this went significantly quicker. I'd say it was like 3 times faster to weld this. You'll notice the surface is way different than the previous piece. It's a lot smoother. We don't have those dimes that you typically associate with TIG welders. And also the heat effective zone is much smaller. And like before, I don't have complete penetration, which I did not expect to have given how thick this piece is. I would again then weld the inside from the backside for a functional part that has a 90-degree butt weld like this. So ultimately, pulse will help you manage heat control, both high frequency and low frequency. Low frequency, I much prefer for heavier steel and also especially aluminum. It helps me get better penetration, more consistent beads, and something especially that I wouldn't be grinding later. However, in my experience, I would always pick high frequency pulse for thinner sheet metal because that heat effects zone is much smaller, get great penetration, and that weld would be very easy to planish out with a hammer and dolly to then have a warp-free weld for paint down the road. So we've gone through 4 welds here. We've got 2 high frequency welds, we've got 2 low frequency welds. Bottom line is pulse makes heat management much easier, and this is a really cool feature that you don't find on many welders at this price point. Eastwood TIG 220, check it out.